Joining us out here at SS Outfitters, one of the things that we're doing today also showing off some silencers. And remember, if you want to come out and shoot a little bit, you can do that. Sky has the range set up and some guns set up, ready to go. So you can come on out to SS Outfitters and try out a couple of guns, silencer, all that kind of good stuff. Joining us to talk about silencers and the legalities around silencers, because there are a lot of people who I'm sure have a lot of questions when they're purchasing a silencer. There's a lot of paperwork involved and a lot of other stuff. So we'll get into that. Brian Walsh, attorney Brian Walsh, joining us on the program. Brian, welcome to the show.
How are you this morning, Chad?
Get a little bit closer to that microphone for me, and appreciate you coming on today. Tell folks a little bit about yourself, and when it comes to silencers, I know Sky said he sends a lot of people to you. What is something that people need to know when they're looking at purchasing a silencer?
Well, Chad, I'm an attorney over in Levelland. We do all kinds of things in terms of areas of the law. One of the areas that we focus on is estate planning, which includes gun trusts. We're off of Avenue H there in Levelland. In terms of suppressors, why you would need a suppressor, was that your question?
Well, you know, what kind of questions do people have when they come into you and they want to set up a trust? You know, why is that a good idea to set up a trust?
Well, you know, the main reason that people with regards to guns want to get a trust is they want a suppressor or a silencer. A silencer or suppressor is what we call a Title II type of gun. It's restricted by the federal government, so you cannot own it individually unless you go through a lot of hoops. The much easier way to do that is to own it in trust or own it as or within a business entity.
And so what does that mean? How many people can be in a trust, and what all do, you know, if someone walks in today, like let's say I come in today, I buy a silencer, or I want to buy a silencer, and you say it's easier to set up a family trust. Why is that?
Well, there's three persons, I guess, identifiable in a typical trust arrangement, and which would include a NFA or gun trust. It would be trustee, settlor or maker, and then you have the beneficiary. So you have somebody that comes in, typical scenario, says, hey, I want to set this up, I want to add my wife onto it, or my brother-in-law. We would make them trustees, so they're authorized users or responsible people that can use and possess the item that's in the trust. And then typically they're going to have their heirs, their children are going to be the beneficiaries.
And so if you have the beneficiaries, you have the trustees who are all on this, does that mean everyone in that trust can use a suppressor or silencer?
The people that have control of the silencer or suppressor are going to be the settlor or the trustees. The beneficiaries cannot possess the item without an authorized person, i.e. one of those trustees in the trust being present. Okay. So, one of the areas that, and you might ask me a question about this later, but people often say, well, why do I need you to create this? Why can't I just go online and find a form and plug in some information? Well, the problem with that is, there's deference given to the state law when you're talking about guns. There's federal laws and there's state laws that pertain to guns, and what we're talking about is state-specific trusts that comply with Texas laws. And the problem that you find oftentimes is you go online and those trusts and those forms are not state-specific, and that can have drastic effects, which could ultimately lead to an invalid trust, if you just try to do one of those forms and then you think you're lawfully using or possessing an item, and then you find out, oh my God,
you get a little bit of trouble.
That was, yeah, and with guns, the trouble, you can get up to a $250,000 fine or up to 10 years in the federal penitentiary. So the stakes are high. So you want to get this thing done correctly,
right,
from the get-go.
How many people can be trustees?
It's open. I mean, there's not a limit. The thing that I always tell people is the more people that you have as trustees, I mean, obviously you're going to want to trust these individuals to add them, because if they do something inappropriate with the item that's in the trust, such as the suppressor, not only are they going to get in trouble, but everybody in the trust is probably going to get in trouble, in particular the person that made the trust.
How so?
So, for example, let's say that you have 3 people in the trust, and the third person, which happens to be a brother-in-law or something like this, goes out and loans his buddy the suppressor to go hunt for the weekend. That is not authorized or allowable, because obviously it's out of the control, possession of a trustee or an authorized user. So if he were stopped by the game wardens or any law enforcement, they checked him, didn't have the paperwork, not only is that individual going to get in trouble, but everybody in that trust is going to succumb to civil or potentially criminal liability. So
really,
yes.
Well, that doesn't seem fair to everybody.
Well, it's not, but that's why it's
that's why you got to trust everybody.
That's why you have to trust everybody, and you have to make sure that it's done the right way.
When you set up a trust, and I'm sure you get these questions sometimes, does everybody have to be related to be a trustee?
No.
Okay.
No, they don't.
So if you've got a good buddy who is like a brother and you trust them, they can be a trustee.
Correct. Now, the other thing, trustees cannot just be anybody. They have to be over 21 years old.
Okay.
And they cannot have a criminal record. This isn't much of a problem for the people I visit with. You know, they cannot be illegal aliens or subject to deportation, and there's a whole laundry list of other things. But the two main things is, they had some criminal trouble 20 years ago. They have a record. They don't think it's a problem. Well, it is a problem in the context of the trust, because they're excluded from being able to legally be a trustee.
If somebody has a license to carry here in Texas, how much, if they've gotten through that, when it comes to the trust, how much more rigorous is, getting this trust set up?
Well, it's typically the same process. There was back in January of this year, 41F was approved, which basically changed some laws as of January 13 of this year. Prior to that date, when you were trying to get one of these trusts, you had to get background checked, but you did not have to submit fingerprints, photographs, etc. Now, with 41F in place as the law, everybody that's a responsible person, which would include all the trustees, etc., have to go through questionnaire, background check, submission of fingerprints, photographs, etc. So even if you had the CD or the CHL, you're still going to have to do all those steps.
Right.
Now, I think on your background check, it's going to be fast and easy, because a lot of times if you say you went to Academy, Walmart, somewhere, SS Outfitters, and you gave your CHL, you're obviously going to get put through the system a lot quicker, typically about a third of the time when they're talking about running your background.
Can you hang out for one more segment?
Sure.
Great. When we come back, we will continue our conversation with Brian Walsh, attorney here in Levelland. Attorney Brian Walsh on with us. We've been talking about trust. If somebody, let's say they come in today, they want to get the process started, how long does it normally take to get that silencer if everything goes according to plan?
Right. Well, kind of from start to finish, what they'll do is they'll come out to somebody like Sky, who's very knowledgeable in all the different suppressors, et cetera, that are available. They'll pick what they want. They'll then come to somebody that practices in this area like myself to get the trust created. Then once that's done, they'll go back and order the item from Sky. Once it's received, Sky will get with them and do what's called a Form 4, which is an ATF form. That will get submitted with the trust that I've created to the ATF branch in Atlanta, along with a tax fee of typically $200. Then the wait is on. You're typically going to wait. As of August, ATF's wait time is 9 months.
Wow.
Before you actually get to use the suppressor that you bought. So
it just kind of hangs out here until
Sky hangs on to it, and it hangs out here, and you're just waiting for the mail to come and see if the ATF's approved you or not.
Okay. Well, Brian, tell folks if they have any more questions on setting up a trust for a silencer or any other gun-related issues. If they have any questions when it comes to firearm law or anything else, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can certainly reach me at my office. The area code's 806-894-1541, or they can email me at Brian, that's BRIAN, at B as in boy, S as in Sam, W as in whiskey, firm, FIRM.com. And we'll be more than happy to talk to them about any of the gun-related issues or any issues they might have with other areas of law that we do, including estate planning, etc.
Great. Appreciate you coming by. Maybe you need a new holster.
Yep.
I have an idea. Maybe a MEK holster. Matt Elder's joining us right now, owner of MEK. Matt, thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
Absolutely. Now, you're out of Amarillo, correct?
Yes, sir.
So these holsters, you make them, your company makes them, and they're, from everything I hear, they're blowing up. They're great.
Well, we appreciate that. We do manufacture them from scratch. Every one of our holsters starts out as one or sometimes two flat pieces of plastic and get molded to the shape of your particular gun. And then we go from there, cut it and trim it and make it fit nice.
Well, what is the benefit, the difference between your holsters and holsters that, I mean, you go into any store, you see all kinds of different holsters.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Generally speaking, if you go into a big box store, an Academy or a Gander Mountain, most of the holsters are sized by a range of different guns. It's going to be like size 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it's going to fit 8 or 9 different gun models. The downside of that is it's not fit exactly to yours, which means it's going to wiggle around a little bit in there. You're going to get some excessive wear on your holster. The other part, the main benefit of ours is that, they're made by hand and everyone's inspected here, in Amarillo in our shop. And we're not going to let anything go out that doesn't meet our specifications, which means if I would wear it or not. So that's a big deal to us,
What is right now? What are your bigger sellers? Is it outside the waistband, inside the waistband? What are people doing?
This time of year we're kind of in a transition. During the summertime, people carry mostly inside the waistband because your clothes kind of dictate that. You wear tighter clothes or T-shirts and shorts. In the wintertime, we start seeing people do more outside the waistband because you can wear a bigger shirt or a jacket, perhaps. But to be honest with you, this year, with open carry being enacted this year, we've sold way more outside the waistbands, not necessarily people open carrying, but less concerned with it showing when you reach for the top shelf at the grocery store.
Right.
And that kind of stuff. So
it's more comfortable, too.
Absolutely. They are more comfortable outside the waistband.
But when, and the thing, I'm looking at the wall over there, you've got MEK holsters, but you also have different you have carriers as well.
Yeah, mag carriers for both pistol magazines. Also, we've got some AR mag carriers now in the shop and some long range mag carrier stuff too. But a lot of people do like to carry a second mag on them. And one of our mag carriers is a great way to do that in case, most weapons failures are magazine failures. So in a situation where you have a failure, you may need to change a magazine.
What is something that people, if they have maybe just a regular holster right now,
yeah.
what is something they need to, what is something that people may not think about when they're looking for a holster, they want to buy a holster, what do they need to think about?
To be honest with you, I think the most important thing is you need to come try them. That's hard to do in a big box store, especially. You don't want to go to Academy and pull your gun out and start trying on holsters.
It's a bad idea.
The Lubbock PD will probably show up.
Yeah.
Or in this case, Levelland, But honestly, that's one of the reasons you can come to a small shop like Sky's. You can bring your gun with you, talk to them. The other thing is try couple different styles of holsters. I mean, you may want to carry it inside the waistband. You may try it on and say, oh, that's not going to work. You may want outside the waistband. You think, well, that's really not hiding it as well as I would like. And a lot of it depends on your body type, what gun you're carrying. It's a big selection of factors. And honestly, you may find out, you may need to buy a different gun from Sky to pull off what you're trying to do with a different type of holster. So.
I've also seen on, I think it was y'all's Facebook page, you can do some different custom holsters.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a really cool state flag
yep.
and American flag one as well.
Yeah, we had a thin blue line one, I think, the other day, an American flag that has a blue line in it. Obviously we're very supportive of law enforcement and military. But, we do everything from literally a flat black holster to we can get things custom printed. We can get logos made. The sky is the limit on this material. We can pretty much do whatever. I've got access to every camo on the market. Unfortunately, they're licensed and they charge a lot more for the material. So there are some upgrade charges on those things, but it's not ridiculous. I mean, I think the most you're going to pay for a single item is $25 extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you or find more information about MEK Holsters?
Yeah, for sure. Go to our website, it's MEKHolsters.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can call Sky here at SS Outfitters. He not only carries stuff on the shelf, but he custom orders as well. So if you have questions, you can talk to Sky, and if he can't answer it, he can get a hold of me, so.
Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thanks, Chad. We appreciate it.